The slap stung, but it took the air from my lungs. 12 faces at the dinner table stopped. Some were horrified, others smug. If you are new, please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and don't forget to share it with your family and friends. Also, let us know where you are watching from. My husband Damien's hands were suspended in midair, his chest pounding. Never embarrass me again in front of my family. Each word cut deeper than the punch, but he spoke low. His mother snickered, his brother laughed, and then from across the room, from a far corner, there was a voice that cut through everything. "Daddy." My 9-year-old daughter Maya's gaze fastened on him. "You shouldn't have done that." Damien had crafted his reputation with the touch of a craftsman, chiseling an image of strength, charm, and command that appeared impregnable to anyone who did not share the same roof. To the neighborhood, he was the guy who shook hands with a firm grip, remembered every birthday, and carried the groceries for the elderly. To his family, he was the golden son, the boy who could do no wrong in the eyes of his parents and siblings. Tonight, though, as I stood with the warmth of his hand still on my cheek, I knew that vision had cracked. What would they all believe if they knew what I knew? Why had he lost control so totally before all those people whose opinions mattered most to him? And Maya, my dear, watching Maya, what was she about to say that would strip away the armor he had put on for years? Around the table, fingers wrapped a little tighter around wine glasses. Words dropped to whispers, and the only noise between heartbeats was the soft tick of the clock above the fireplace, counting the seconds until everything shifted. For 12 years I had been Mrs. Damien Ward, a name that rolled off lips at neighborhood parties, church picnics, and school carnivals as if it implied privilege, stability, and respect. And in so many ways, that's just how it appeared on the outside. They witnessed the way Damien held doors open for me, the way he placed his hand at the small of my back as we entered a room, the way he spun tales that caused the audience to laugh. They saw the man who knew every name, who wrote handwritten thank you cards, who looked you in the eye like you were the only person who mattered. But they didn't see what happened after the front door closed. They didn't hear the sighs heavy with disappointment. They didn't notice how my circle of friends thinned over the years, how phone calls grew shorter until they stopped altogether. Damien never forbade me from seeing anyone, he was too clever for that. Instead, he made quiet comments that lodged in my mind like splinters. "She's always negative. You deserve better than her. You know they just talk about you behind your back." I slowly began to decline invitations. It wasn't worth the fights that would ensue if I went, and when I did go out, I'd return home to punishments, his cold silence, his disapproving look, the sudden recollection that I was supposed to do something. Maya picked up on more than she admitted. She studied me from the other side of the room, her big brown eyes following every change in my stance. Occasionally, I caught her faking reading while secretly eavesdropping on the hard cuts in Damien's tone. She never posed questions straight out, but her inquiries took different forms. "Mommy, are you sleepy? Why don't we visit Aunt Clara anymore?" And I always packaged my responses in nice falsehoods. Damien's family gatherings were their own drama. Formal table manners, a implied dress code, and talk looping around to their accomplishments. During my first Thanksgiving, I found I was more of an observer and less of a guest. When I told them about my job at the library, Damien's brother smiled blandly, but his eyes wandered off. His sister asked me about my volunteering, as if the term career did not exist for me. On the way home, Damien did not tell me that he was proud of me. Instead, he said I should try harder next time to fit in, so I practiced the choreography, show up with a smile, laugh at the correct places, fade into the background. But Maya noticed everything. the clenching of Damien's jaw when I talked too long, his mother's compliments with stings, his father's questions that were like interrogations. Maya stored each moment quietly, as puzzle pieces she was not yet able to fit. What I did not know then was that she wasn't watching so much as preparing. That Thanksgiving morning I awoke before light, sleeves rolled down to conceal pale yellowing stains from what Damien referred to as last week's lesson. Maya was seated at the table, pencil grasped in her hand, playing at work but observing me intently. When Damien appeared downstairs, the house was filled with cinnamon and rosemary. But instead of a good morning, he scowled at the pie crust. That's too thick. Minutes later, the mashed potatoes are too lumpy. Then, the centerpiece looks like a child made it. Every word eroded me. I smiled through it all. As soon as the guests came, Damien's charm was back in full swing. He opened the door with a smile, brushed against me with his arm as if reminding me of my function. His mother surveyed the table. It'll do. His brother grinned. Nice that you finally had time to entertain in style. Dinner started off light-hearted until I made a harmless comment on Damien's tendency to overseason food. The table went silent. Damien's eyes were on mine, and then, the slap, a stinging, intentional. 12 sets of eyes went still. His brother laughed. His mother sneered. Damien set his shoulders, covering violence with authority. Don't ever embarrass me in front of my family again. I couldn't get my voice out. My breath stuck in my chest. But Maya, she set down her fork, her eyes level. You shouldn't have done that. Her tone was even, almost soft, but laden with truth. Damien laughed harshly, prepared to brush aside her words. Until she added, because now Grandpa is going to see. The room changed. Color faded from Damien's face. What are you even talking about, Maya? He said with a lightness that was a mockery, his voice cracking. She dug into her cardigan and produced a phone. I've been recording for weeks. She said to me, not him. My heart thudded. She had witnessed more than I'd ever wanted. She had recorded it. Damien's voice grew cold. Maya, hang up. This isn't a game. She didn't budge. It's too late, Daddy. I already emailed everything to Grandpa. The words broke the room. Grandpa was Edward Ward, Damien's father, a man whose approval Damien had pursued his whole life, whose displeasure could unravel him at will, and then, the soft hum of a phone on the table. Damien's hand trembled as he grabbed it. His face went white. Without uttering a word, he pushed back his chair, stormed out, and slammed the door behind him. For the first time in years, the table was occupied by someone other than him. Maya sat quietly, hands folded, eyes steady. Minutes later, tires crunched on gravel. The front door creaked open, and Edward Ward entered. His presence dominated the room. He went directly to Maya. Come with me. She looked at me. I nodded. When they came back, Maya stood with her phone, but Edward said something. This remains between us for the time being. He said, his eyes meeting mine, but it will be addressed. The family departed in silence that evening, without goodbyes, as I observed Maya go upstairs, her tiny figure etched in the light from the hall. I did not see a child, but one who knew the burden of truth. For the first time, I knew this was the end of the start. Not for us, but for Damien. His power had started to break down the instant Maya spoke. The bridge he constructed on terror was breaking irreparably. Sometimes the smallest voice in the room is also most dangerous, not because it is the loudest one, but because it has the courage to speak when everybody else remains quiet. And at that instant, I was certain my daughter had altered the direction of our lives forever.